Dallas Love Field, the Dallas-Fort Worth area broadcasters bring you a special description of the arrival of President John F. Kennedy. The tightest possible security measures are in effect, and those of us here in the radio, TV, and press area have undergone exhaustive security investigation. And here is the presidential jet, U.S. Air Force number 1, printed on the side, and it is right in front of us at this moment, where Mrs. Kennedy has been presented her bouquet of brilliant red roses, and they make a lovely contrast to the bright pink suit she is wearing. Shots definitely were fired at the presidential motorcade as it passed through downtown Dallas. President Kennedy is dead, Gordon. This is official word.
The president is dead. The president, ladies and gentlemen, is dead.
November 22nd, 1963. 3 gunshots, 3 men, 3 local affiliates. One day that changed the way we report news forever. Most of the journalists from that day were simply doing their job, a job they were good at. After all, covering the news in Dallas was an honor and not for the faint of heart. But to tell the story of President John F. Kennedy visiting the Lone Star State and spending the day in our city, well, that was special. Little did these storytellers know that fateful autumn day would change the way news was reported. Their personal stories would be as historic as the event itself. It would change their lives, and as it did, they helped to shape a new era of journalism. One of those 3 men was Eddie Barker. Eddie Barker played a leading role with the birth of television news in Dallas in 1949 and went on to play an even bigger role on November 22, 1963. As the news director of Dallas CBS affiliates KRLD Radio and KRLD TV, Barker was stationed at the Dallas Trade Mart anticipating Kennedy's arrival for his speech, a speech that never happened.
Our KRLD TV studios in Dallas right now.
Walter, I think that most Dallasites feel at this hour, as I do, still in a state of shock. But as the grim reality takes hold that in our town, the President of the United States could be gunned down by a fiend, I shudder and feel sick in the pit of my stomach.
Instead, he witnessed the motorcade passing the Trade Mart on the way to Parkland Hospital. Barker was the first to report the death of President John F. Kennedy, a full 5 minutes before network reporters confirmed the news. Eddie Barker continued his job by securing an exclusive interview with Marina Oswald to talk about her husband and his role in JFK's assassination. He became an icon in the 1960s, and as both news director and main anchor, was a prominent figure at Channel 4. He left in 1972 to launch a public relations firm and eventually retired in 1994. The names on the list of journalists who worked under Eddie Barker reads like a who's who of broadcasting. Broadcast media lost a legend when Eddie Barker died in July of last year. Gary DeLaune is another man who was there on that horrific day. With a career spanning 5 decades, Gary DeLaune helped change the way news was reported with his list of firsts. The first to broadcast the story that Tom Landry was the first coach in NFL history to receive a 10-year contract, and the first to broadcast from the famous Neiman Marcus fire in downtown Dallas. That list goes on, but DeLaune is best known for being the first to broadcast on radio that President Kennedy had been shot by a sniper in downtown Dallas.
The police department is still trying to confirm the fact that President Kennedy and Governor John Connally have been wounded.
Throughout those sad and tragic days, DeLaune continued to bring updates about Kennedy's assassination and the shooting of Lee Harvey Oswald by Jack Ruby.
A shot rang out from right above our heads, and I was knocked to the ground. In the mad scramble, it was pandemonium and confusion.
Gary DeLaune began his Texas radio and television broadcast career in 1960. first at WFAA, KLIF, and KDFW-TV in Dallas, then K-News and KQ in Houston, and finally at KENS TV in San Antonio, where he worked for 28 years as a reporter, producer, and sports anchor. DeLaune currently lives in San Antonio, where he still uses his powerful voice to educate and entertain audiences. Gary DeLaune Productions has produced 15 sports and news documentaries, which include Hail Mary 20 Years Later, the story of the famous pass from Roger Staubach to Drew Pearson. DeLaune's list of firsts is indicative of his passion and dedication to the broadcast industry, and he is definitely a first of his time. And we want to recognize one more man that was there that day. Stationed at the Trade Mart awaiting President Kennedy's arrival, Bert Shipp too saw the president's motorcade pass by. Shipp's determination and quick thinking sprung him into action until he was able to get the story.
We had no word at Market Hall as to what went on downtown.
Roll of film.
And it was a complete mystery. The police didn't even know. But we knew, as you'll see about halfway through the film, the police went on past the Market Hall area, or Trade Mart rather, and on it to Parkland Hospital.
He was so much a part of that story that his 16mm Bell & Howell Filmo 70DL camera is on display at the 6th floor museum. Shipp started his DFW journalism story in 1959 when he was hired to cover the Dallas area for WBAP-TV. His ambition and dedication eventually caught the eye of a news station, WFAA. He made the leap to this budding operation, and Channel 8 and Bert's career took off together. Shipp covered stories from Dallas City Hall to Vietnam, and 2 years after joining the WFAA TV team, he became one of the key figures in covering JFK's trip to Dallas and his assassination. Much of what the rest of the country got to see that day was the WFAA TV coverage, which was broadcast across the nation on ABC News. Bert Shipp was right there in the middle of it all. Bert retired in 2004, but during his career he was involved in one way or another in the coverage of many historic events and lots of colorful people that shaped the DFW area, the state of Texas, and the nation. He even somehow talked the Beatles into sitting down for an interview.
Although you haven't seen much of Dallas, the part of it you have seen, what do you like?
Well, pretty fine.
He is best known for his passion, his leadership, and his sharp news judgment. Bert Shipp's camera, eye, storytelling, leadership, and wit helped to shape both the DFW area and broadcast journalism into what it is today.
The scene was too gruesome to describe.
I know.
And I've spent most of my time, so I'm going to get the film ready now.
Good.
And so, for their years of service to the industry, the community, and their stations, it is with great honor that we induct Eddie Barker, Bert Shipp, and Gary DeLaune into the prestigious Silver Circle of the Lone Star chapter of the National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences.